Reincarnation is a concept that has been debated for centuries, with people divided on whether it is a real phenomenon or just a myth. Some people believe in reincarnation and its transformative power, while others are skeptical of the concept and consider it to be mere wishful thinking. On the skeptical side, there are arguments that the idea of reincarnation is not supported by scientific evidence and is simply a product of cultural and religious beliefs. Skeptics point out that there is no scientific explanation for how a person's consciousness can be transferred from one body to another after death. Additionally, critics argue that anecdotal evidence of past lives is often unreliable, and people's memories of supposed past lives can be influenced by their environment and cultural beliefs. On the other hand, proponents of reincarnation argue that there is significant evidence supporting the concept. Some researchers have investigated cases where children have described past lives with astonishing accuracy, including details about places, people, and events that they could not have known otherwise. Moreover, some spiritual and religious traditions have long held beliefs in reincarnation and suggest that it is a natural process that occurs after death. While there is still much debate surrounding the idea of reincarnation, both sides have valid arguments to consider. Whether it is a real phenomenon or simply a product of cultural beliefs, the concept of reincarnation continues to fascinate and intrigue people all over the world. Here are 3 baffling and amazing real-life reincarnation stories. A young girl named Shanti Devi from Delhi, India, presented a compelling case for reincarnation in the 1930s. At an early age, Shanti Devi started recounting stories of her past life in a town she had never been to, astonishing her parents with vivid and detailed memories. These accounts drew the attention of researchers interested in reincarnation worldwide. Ordinary occurrences such as certain meals or clothing triggered memories of her previous life, and she shared remarkable details about her past as a woman named Lugdi, who died after giving birth to a son in October 1925. Her recollections included uncanny specifics about her labor pains and surgical experiences that seemed far beyond the imagination of a young child. What truly amazed her family was when Shanti Devi revealed the name of her former husband, Pandit Kedarnath Chaub, who was still alive and living exactly where she claimed. A significant meeting between them took place, leaving even the scientific community unable to fully explain the extraordinary events. In 1935, Mahatma Gandhi took notice of the case and sent a group of parliamentarians, media members, and leaders to investigate. Born on December 11, 1926, Shanti Devi appeared to be a typical baby until around the age of 4 when she began speaking about her past life in Mathura, a town located about 75 miles away. Shanti Devi provided precise details about the shops, streets, and her husband in Mathura, initially refusing to disclose his name until she was 9 years old. Despite skepticism from her parents, a friend decided to verify her claims by writing to a merchant named Kedar Nath in Mathura. To their astonishment, Nath confirmed all the details and agreed to visit Devi's home with a relative. During the investigation, Devi astounded everyone by accurately identifying her former husband's cousin, and later, upon seeing her husband and son, she burst into tears. When Kedar Nath spoke with Devi privately, he found her responses to be entirely accurate, leading him to believe that it was as if his deceased wife was speaking through Shanti Devi. To further investigate, Mahatma Gandhi's commission accompanied Shanti Devi and her parents on a train ride to Mathura. Shanti Devi confidently directed them to her former home, correctly noting changes in the town since her previous life. She even led them to a hidden spot in the house where she claimed money was buried, which turned out to be empty, as her husband had already taken it after her death. The commission also observed her emotional reunion with her former parents, whom she recognized in a crowd of over 50 people, leaving no rational explanation for what they had witnessed. Shanti Devi not only recalled her past life in great detail, but she also shared her experience of the afterlife. Under hypnosis in 1936 and 1939, she described a profound darkness, and then encountering 4 bright individuals who presented a record of her earthly deeds, shown by the Hindu god Krishna. She spoke of a golden staircase overlooking a river, where souls appeared as flames in lamps. In later years, during a 1958 newspaper interview, Shanti Devi, who had never married, shared her intention to establish an organization dedicated to following the guidance of the inner voice. Shanti Devi's life came to an end in 1987 at the age of 61. Nevertheless, her captivating story lives on through a book authored by Swedish writer Sture Lonnerstrand in 1994, which was later translated into English in 1998. In 1946 and then 1951, a joyful Catholic family residing in the market town of Hexham, England, welcomed the birth of their daughters, Joanna and Jacqueline. Florence and John Pollock, the parents, operated a milk delivery business and already had 4 sons prior to the arrival of their 2 daughters. While the parents were at work, the girls often spent time with their grandmother, engaging in imaginative play and dressing up. However, a tragedy unfolded on May 5, 1957. While on their way to church with a friend, a car swerved off the road and collided with them. The girls lost their lives instantly, and their friend Anthony passed away on the way to the hospital. At the time of the accident, Joanna was 11 years old and Jacqueline was just 6. This sudden loss cut short their promising futures. The accident was caused by Marjorie Wynne, a woman who was found to be under the influence of intoxicants due to an overdose of aspirin and phenobarbital, an epilepsy medication. Despite the overwhelming grief, Florence became pregnant again not long afterward. On October 4, 1958, she gave birth to twin daughters named Jillian and Jennifer. Interestingly, John had a premonition that they would have twins, even though the midwife detected only 1 heartbeat during the pregnancy, and there was no family history of twins. This event, coupled with John's past fascination with reincarnation, led him to believe that the twin girls were the reincarnations of their deceased daughters. When I read this story on the internet, in most cases the photo you just saw on the screen is being shown as a depiction of Pollock twins. However, Wikipedia provides us with a different information about this photo and doesn't mention Pollock twins at all. I've found several other photos supposedly depicting Pollock twins. However, there is no proof that those are actual photos of them. So, I've decided to use random photos of 2 twins for this video. The case for reincarnation gained traction due to the presence of similar birthmarks on one of the twins, Jillian, and one of the deceased sisters, Joanna. Both girls had a distinct darker patch of skin on their hips resembling thumbprints. Additionally, Jennifer, the other twin, had a birthmark on her forehead resembling a scar Jacqueline had received from a fall in 1954. Despite being identical twins, they had unique physical differences that made them resemble one of their deceased sisters more than each other. This case extended beyond the physical realm. When Florence brought out old toys, the twins instinctively gravitated toward different toys without any dispute. Jillian chose Joanna's favorite toys, while Jennifer selected Jacqueline's favorites. They even identified which toys were gifted to each sister by Father Christmas. The family moved away from Hexham to Whitley Bay after the tragedy, but returned a few years later. Although the twins spent their early years in Whitley Bay, they appeared to recognize places they hadn't visited before in their lives, such as Joanna and Jacqueline's favorite park in Hexham Abbey. John recounted an incident where, while walking with the twins, one said they used to go to the school on the hill and the playground at the back, even though their view was obstructed. The notion of reincarnation became a source of contention within the family. While John believed in it, Florence, a devoted Catholic, resisted the idea. Nonetheless, there were events that challenged her skepticism. Once she found the twins playing, with Jennifer lying on the floor and Jillian cradling her head saying, "The blood's coming out of your eyes. That's where the car hit you." In another instance, Jillian accurately described how Jacqueline got her scar by pointing at Jennifer's birthmark and saying, "That is the mark Jennifer got when she fell on a bucket." The twins displayed similarities in clothing preferences, musical tastes, and recognizing friends and neighbors they had never met. The elder twin, Jillian, took care of Jennifer in a manner similar to how Joanna cared for Jacqueline. Their aversion to cars was particularly noteworthy. The twins experienced recurring nightmares of being hit by a car and would react fearfully to passing cars on the street. Their fear was so palpable that they would exclaim, "The car, it's coming for us." The girls' case attracted the attention of scholars. Researchers like Dr. Banerjee and Dr. Ian Stevenson studied their case. In 1987, Stevenson included the Pollock twins in his book, Children Who Remember Previous Lives, A Question of Reincarnation. He argued that cases involving children were more credible due to their limited capacity to fabricate or comprehend the significance of their behavior. However, skeptics propose that the parents may have inadvertently implanted memories into the twins. While they claimed not to discuss their deceased daughters openly in front of the twins, incidental references could have contributed to their absorption of information. Additionally, the absence of mention regarding the 4 elder brothers raised questions about potential sources of pre-existing knowledge. Others dismissed the theory, suggesting that grieving parents might find solace in the idea of their deceased daughters being reborn. Nevertheless, some considered Florence an impartial witness. Dr. Jim Tucker, a research partner of Professor Stevenson, noted Florence's struggle to reconcile the evidence with her Catholic faith stance on reincarnation. As the girls grew older, the reminders of their past seemed to fade. However, in 1981, when Gillian was 23, she described visions of playing in a sandbox in Wickham with vivid accuracy. Although Gillian had never been to Wickham, the family lived there when Joanna was a toddler. The enigma surrounding the Pollock twins has intrigued many, including their own family. The divisions between the camps advocating for reincarnation and those attributing events to coincidence remain as pronounced as ever. Marty Martin, originally named Morris Kalinsky, was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on May 19, 1903. His parents, Ukrainian Jews who had recently immigrated to the United States, welcomed him into a family with 2 sisters, one of whom passed away at an early age. In the 1920s, he and his surviving sister ventured to New York City, where he showcased his tap dancing skills on Broadway under the name Marty Kalinsky. Subsequently, he relocated to Los Angeles, adopting the moniker Marty Martin, with aspirations of succeeding in the film industry. Following the disappointment of his acting pursuits, he established the Marty Martin Agency, a talent agency that flourished and eventually brought him substantial wealth. Throughout his life, Martin entered into matrimony 4 times, although he had only one biological daughter from his last marriage. Additionally, he embraced the role of stepfather to 5 children, among them 3 boys he formally adopted during his final marriage. Tragically, he was afflicted with leukemia, and he passed away at the age of 61 on December 25, 1964, due to a cerebral hemorrhage. Ryan Hammons was born in 2004 in Muskogee, Oklahoma, almost 40 years after Martin's passing. His parents, Cindy and Kevin, were Protestant Christians. Cindy served as the deputy county clerk, while Kevin held the rank of lieutenant in the police department. Ryan experienced delayed speech due to enlarged adenoids, which are clusters of lymphatic tissue found at the back of the nose and throat. At the age of 4, Ryan had his adenoids removed, leading to the development of his ability to speak in full sentences. Shortly thereafter, he began sharing memories that were ultimately associated with Marty Martin. His initial recollections centered around 3 adopted sons who bore his name. He expressed a connection to Hollywood and earnestly requested Cindy to take him there so he could reunite with his other family. According to Ryan, he resided in a spacious house with a pool, situated on a street with the word rock in its name. He once owned a green car that nobody else was permitted to drive. He fondly recalled spending time at the beach with his girlfriends and expressed a fascination with sunglasses. He recounted instances of sunburn from his past life. He also recounted working for an agency where people changed their names. Ryan's memories reached their peak around the age of 4, yet they continued for several years. He shared his memories both at nursery school and at home, often voicing his tales during bath time before bed. Sometimes he woke up from nightmares with no recollection of their content. On occasion, he complained of chest pain and struggled to catch his breath upon waking. In an attempt to facilitate more recollections and potentially identify the person he was remembering, Cindy began borrowing books about Hollywood from the local library. Ryan recognized images of Rita Hayworth and Marilyn Monroe. However, it was when Cindy brought home a book containing information about the 1932 film Night After Night that Ryan identified a photo of an actor he claimed was his former self. Unfortunately, this actor was an extra in the movie, and his identity remained undisclosed in the film's credits. In February of 2010, Cindy reached out to Jim Tucker at the University of Virginia. She detailed some of Ryan's statements and enclosed the image of the background actor from Night After Night, whom Ryan claimed to have been in a past life. Soon, Tucker and some other people became very interested in Ryan's case. They located an actor whom they thought might be the one Ryan had memories of and flew him to Los Angeles. It took several unsuccessful attempts before a film archivist, hired for a closer examination, was able to determine that the extra's name was Marty Martin. Delving into Martin's life revealed striking similarities aligning with Ryan's memories. When Ryan was 6 years old, he was brought back to Los Angeles, where he embarked on a tour of locations linked to Marty Martin. His responses to these places left little room for doubt that this new identification was indeed accurate. Cindy was documenting Ryan's recollections in a journal. She initiated this practice when Ryan was 5 years old, a step taken prior to her correspondence with Jim Tucker, and she maintained it afterward. By March 2016, she had recorded a total of 230 items. Among these, 55 items, 24%, had been verified as accurate, while 15, 6.5%, were either incorrect or seemed implausible in connection to Marty Martin. With the progression of time, the majority of entries, 140 or 69.5%, remained unverifiable. Aside from discussing Martin's life, Ryan also shared insights about the afterlife and the process of death. He mentioned a radiant light that one should approach upon passing, describing it as awesome. However, Ryan asserted that individuals eventually returned in new bodies to live once again. Upon his own death, he described entering a waiting place instead of heaven. On another occasion, Ryan confided in Cindy that he had observed her from a heavenly perspective and recognized her from a previous existence. He claimed to have chosen her to be his mother in order to care for her in his current life. Ryan recounted his memories of being in Cindy's womb and questioned why she had hoped for him to be a girl. Indeed, Cindy had desired a daughter. Ryan added that he had witnessed her extended period of sorrow when she discovered she was expecting a boy. He recounted an incident involving a doctor who had conducted a test and informed her that he was a boy. In response, Cindy became upset and insisted the doctor was mistaken, as she was convinced he was meant to be a girl. Ryan remembered the details vividly, mentioning that it occurred on Daddy's birthday and how they went to a restaurant afterward, during which Cindy cried for an extended duration. Although Cindy felt embarrassed by her behavior during that time, she rarely discussed it due to her discomfort. However, she couldn't deny that Ryan's account was accurate in every aspect. During his second visit to Los Angeles, Ryan experienced a mix of excitement and happiness as he returned to the familiar locations from his memories. However, this trip played a role in finding closure, ultimately allowing him to engage more fully in the present. Following his interaction with Martin's daughter, he seldom brought up his past memories unless prompted. About half a year after the debut of The Unexplained: A Life in the Movies on April 30th, 2011, Cindy entered Ryan's room one evening to find that he had removed all his Martin-related decorations, including his Iron Eiffel Tower and New York pictures. He explained to her that he felt it was time to embrace a regular kid's life. Although the influence of Martin's personality lingered at the age of 11, Ryan's affections for 1950s music persisted, and he nurtured a desire to visit New York. He maintained his fascination with sunglasses and preferred wearing button-down dress shirts. His interest in politics endured, aligning with his identification as a Republican. The abundance of witnesses observing Ryan makes it unlikely that the case was a scheme orchestrated by his parents for attention or financial gain. The notion of Cindy providing him with information or influencing his behavior seems implausible, even if she had somehow learned about Martin's identity before it became widely known. It's worth noting that much of the information about Martin available on the internet today wasn't accessible during the development of this case. However, Ryan's display of strong psychic abilities raises questions. Could his knowledge of Martin have been acquired through extrasensory perception, ESP, rather than via memories from a past life? Yet his emotional turmoil, his yearning for the past, his nightmares, and his behavior echoing Martin's experiences collectively suggest a depth and breadth beyond the scope of information gained solely through ESP.